A man's fist slammed into my wife's face. In broad Texas daylight, right in our front yard. The guy was wearing a vest that said compliance, like that made it okay. Emily wasn't out there looking for trouble. She was just weeding the flower beds. My wife, the schoolteacher, the kind who grades essays with one hand and stirs spaghetti with the other. But that morning, as she crouched by our roses, hair tied back, her white shirt already smudged with dirt, she spotted something that changed everything. A neon red notice taped to our fence, screaming in block letters, violation. Fence 2 inches too tall, unauthorized flag. Fines escalating in 72 hours. She read it, then pulled out her phone. Document first, argue later. That's what 15 years married to a Navy man will do to you. We both know evidence is the only thing that keeps bullies honest. That's when they showed up, 2 guys in tactical vests, stomping across our lawn like they were storming a compound. Vince, the lead guy, was built like a nightclub bouncer but sweating through his vest. Tony, the other one, looked like he bought his muscles wholesale but forgot to order discipline. His fake badge hung crooked, like even the metal was embarrassed. "Ma'am, stop recording enforcement action immediately," Vince barked, trying for authority and landing somewhere between mall cop and karaoke bouncer. Emily didn't even flinch. She's faced down 6th graders with more backbone than these guys. She kept her phone up, voice steady. "This is my property. You're on camera." That should have been the end of it. But Tony's jaw clenched. He stepped forward and swung. The punch sounded like a gunshot. Emily's head snapped to the side, phone flying into the grass. Screen cracked, but still recording. Blood bloomed on her cheek, but she didn't scream or cry. Just stood there in shock, because who gets hit over a fence notice? Curtains twitched. Mrs. Rodriguez's garden hose went slack. Even the dogs stopped barking. It was like the whole neighborhood held its breath. Something inside me snapped. I'd survived 3 deployments, but nothing prepared me to see Emily hurt like that. I stormed out the front door. No uniform, just an old Marine tee, jeans, bare feet on the porch. But I stood tall, steady. That kind of posture doesn't need a badge. Vince and Tony stiffened. "I'm a Navy SEAL," I told them, quiet but clear. "You just assaulted my wife." I saw the flicker of fear in Vince's eyes. Then my voice dropped into that cold tone I'd used overseas. "Stand down. Hands where I can see them." Last warning. The air was electric. But instead of listening, Vince charged at me like he thought bulk was the same as power. I pivoted. Let his own momentum send him face first into the porch steps. The crunch was sickening, his nose streaming blood. Tony saw his buddy down and tried to play hero, swinging wild. I ducked, sidestepped, and let him knock himself out against our sprinkler post. Water sprayed. He gurgled, face a mess. Both were on the ground in 30 seconds. Emily's phone caught the whole thing. Neighbors started coming out. Agnes peeking from behind her lace curtains, Carl leaning on a wrench, Mrs. Rodriguez frozen with her watering can. Vince whimpered, "You broke my nose." The zipper on his vest popped open, revealing a t-shirt, "World's Greatest Dad," like that was supposed to be ironic. Tony tried to say something about me being under arrest, but with his jaw hanging sideways, it just sounded like a toddler learning to talk. I didn't gloat. I called 911. "This is Jack Harper at 2147 Magnolia Drive. I need law enforcement and EMS. 2 men assaulted my wife on private property." Because that's what grown-ups do, even when idiots try to play soldier in your yard. As I hung up, I noticed Vince's phone buzzing. The latest text glowed on the screen, "Boss lady. Use force if needed. J." 2 minutes before the punch. Emily caught it all on camera, her cheeks swelling but her eyes sharp. "That's our first lead," she whispered. Sirens were already wailing in the distance. By the time the cops arrived, the street looked like a war zone. The real officers took one look at Emily's face, the video, the text, and started gathering statements. Ray Delgado, my neighbor, retired cop, walked up in his Hawaiian shirt, eyes sharp as ever. He took one look at the mess, checked the phones, and whistled. "You've got yourself a smoking gun." Turns out, those vests weren't even real police. Private contractors, hired muscle, paid for by Jennifer Allen, the HOA president. The same woman who'd been plastering violation slips all over the neighborhood. She was pulling the strings. We weren't just fighting over a fence anymore. This was about control. Our neighbor Agnes, the quiet widow, confessed she'd been helping Jennifer, keeping tabs on us, taking notes, snapping photos. She slid a manila envelope across our kitchen table, full of Jennifer's control system. Pages of names, violations, even personal secrets she'd used as leverage. Divorce filings, custody battles, late-night arrivals, debts, stuff no HOA should know. She made me believe it was about keeping order, Agnes sobbed. But it was always about power. The police called it what it was, racketeering. Jennifer Allen had built a shadow empire, and she'd just escalated to violence. Our neighbors finally saw the truth. Carl, the guy who turned on us, in court, broke down, admitting Jennifer promised to erase his debt if he lied. Even in the courtroom, Jennifer never backed down. When Ray played the phone video, when Agnes's notebook flashed on the screen, she barely flinched until the judge announced a new charge: anonymous threats to Sunset Elementary, the school where Emily taught. The texts had been traced straight to Jennifer's phone. Parents gasped. Reporters scrambled. Jennifer was done, sentenced to probation, banned from HOA leadership, forced to pay restitution, and to everyone's relief, finally out of our lives. Or so we thought. After the verdict, the street felt lighter. Block parties returned. Kids ran through sprinklers. Agnes baked cookies for everyone. Even Carl tried to win back trust by volunteering for every project. But one night, as Emily and I sat on the porch, Ray joined us, a strange look on his face. Jack, about those school threats, some of the evidence came from Jennifer's phone, but I might have nudged the narrative to make sure nobody treated her like an overzealous HOA president. Sometimes justice needs a push, you know. I stared at him. Maybe that's what it took. Maybe it was the only way to stop someone who thought she was untouchable. For a while, we actually believed the war was over. Emily's bruise faded, but her fire didn't. She led the new parent safety committee, coordinated school pickups, made sure no kid ever walked home alone. The neighborhood healed. But then the moving trucks arrived at Jennifer's old house. The new neighbors didn't bring furniture, just security cameras, satellite dishes, padlocked cases, and cold eyes behind mirrored sunglasses. Emily's teacher intuition bristled. Jack, they're not moving in, they're fortifying. Across the street, Ray watched through his newspaper. Agnes shivered beside us. Do you think Jennifer sent them? I didn't answer. The war had shifted uniforms. Some battles never end. They just wait for another opening. And as the sun went down and those red camera lights blinked on, I realized peace is only ever borrowed in a place like this. Yeah, the tyrant's gone. But the story isn't finished. Some neighborhoods don't break. They get stronger. But you never stop watching the fences. Not after what we lived through. So tell me, what would you have done? Where's the line between justice and survival in a place ruled by fear? Drop your take in the comments. Share your own HOA nightmares. And let's talk about what real community should look like.